Canada, the land of maple syrup, poutine, and beavers, a place where everyone says sorry. Canada is one of the richest, safest, and most stable nations on earth. It has stunning landscapes, free healthcare, and a reputation for being the nice neighbor of the United States. Yet, for all of Canada's greatness, there is a problem. The government is built on debt. And I mean a boatload of debt. And it's growing each year. The workforce is aging. The housing market is way out of control. So today, we're going to be answering the big question. Is Canada on its way to becoming a global superpower, or is it heading straight into an economic disaster? Before we can talk about Canada's economy, we have to go back to its history and geography. Canada is massive, the second largest country in the world. It has more land than it knows what to do with, rich in oil, timber, fresh water, and farmland. And now, in theory, Canada should be an economic superpower, but there's a problem. Almost no one lives in most of it. 90% of Canadians live within 150 kilometers of the US border. And the reason? Canada is cold, like ridiculously cold. Temperatures can hit negative 40 degrees Celsius. It snows for almost half the year, and it's so cold that polar bears don't even live there. This extreme climate has shaped how Canada develops, including its economy, population distribution, and infrastructure. Now, imagine this. You're a young indigenous boy in 1496. You're just minding your business. You're trading, you're hunting, and you're thriving. Then, in 1497, a certain man knocks at your door by the name of John Cabot. He's an Italian sailor from England, and he discovered Newfoundland. Of course, the native people already living there for thousands of years might have a different opinion on that. Fast forward to the 1600s, the French jump in. Samuel de Champlain establishes Quebec in 1608, kicking off the fur trade, alliances with indigenous people, and certain conflicts with the British. Meanwhile, the British set up shop in Newfoundland and Hudson's Bay and start doing what they do best, claiming land, trading, and picking fights with the French. By the mid-1800s, Britain was over dealing with Canada's problems, so in 1867, it let Canada become a self-governing country through confederation. Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia formed Canada, and the last to join was Newfoundland in 1949. But there was a problem. The West was mostly empty, and with the US expanding westwards fast, Canada was worried it might lose the territory. The solution? Build a massive railway. The Canadian Pacific Railway was finished in 1885, connecting the East Coast to British Columbia. This brought massive immigration from Europe, Ukraine, and China, expanding Canada's workforce. By the early 1900s, Canada was booming. Then, World War I happened, and Canada sent troops to Europe to prove itself on the battlefield. By the end of the war, Canada has proven itself and has seen more as independent from Britain. Then came World War II, which Canada turned into a major industrial power. The economy expanded beyond just resources to include manufacturing, finance, and technology. By the 1960s and 70s, immigration exploded, with new arrivals from Asia, Eastern Europe, and Latin America. Canada was modernizing fast, but with modernization came new economic challenges. Today, Canada is one of the richest nations on earth, but there's a huge problem. Their economy still relies heavily on exporting raw materials. The housing market in Canada is dangerously inflated, and household debt is at a record high. Some of Canada's key economic sectors are energy, manufacturing, finance, and tech. Canada's energy sector is big, as it's one of the world's largest oil and natural gas producers. The automotive and aerospace sectors are strong as well, but it still relies on imports. The finance and tech sectors are strong, but they lag behind the US in global influence. Canada's biggest problem is housing. Toronto and Vancouver home prices are over $1.2 million on average, and rent in Toronto for a studio is $2,400 a month. Young Canadians might never be able to afford a home. If housing prices collapse, billions in wealth could disappear overnight. With the housing crisis comes the debt crisis. Household debt is at 185% of income, one of the highest in the world. Federal debt is over $1.3 trillion, and Ontario alone owes over $400 billion. Canada has some of the strongest banking regulations in the world. Unlike the 2008 US financial crisis, Canada's banks are better regulated and require higher capital reserves, but there's still a massive risk. 60% of bank loans are tied to real estate. If the housing market crashes, banks will take a major hit. After reviewing all this information, I only see two scenarios in Canada's future. Scenario 1, Canada thrives. The economy diversifies beyond real estate. Immigration boosts innovation, and new technology and green innovations and investments drive sustainable growth. Scenario 2, Canada struggles. Debt spirals out of control, the household market crashes, triggering a deep recession. A shrinking workforce and rising costs hurt long-term economic growth. In conclusion, Canada stands at a turning point. Will it rise or collapse? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.